You're good.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Today is Daf Kuf Yud Beis, Kuf Yud Gimel, Mesachos Pesachim. As we get towards the end, another week or so. So we left off at the top of Kuf Yud Beis. Today is actually a lot of sort of agadata, different teachings. So not as difficult as it is just long. So let's start. We left off at Tana. We're just talking about what caused anxiety. So we are Tana 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines from the top. First word Tana. Afilu mechupin v'kli barzel. So one who goes ahead and eats or drinks food that was left underneath his bed overnight, even if it was covered with, actually doesn't say overnight, but even if it was covered in some sort of kli container, you think it's protected, nevertheless, ruach ra shararam, there's some sort of ruach ra upon it. Taner Rabbanan, lo yishta adam mayim lo b'leili revius lo b'leili shabbosos. Person should not go ahead and drink water, perhaps with some sort of spirits around on the nights before the 4th or 7th day or Shabbos of the week, Tuesday or Friday night. So if he does go ahead and drink it, so the warning is on him, right? He's putting himself in danger because of sakana. So my sakana ruach ra, so some sort of ruach ra upon the some sort of spirits or whatever upon the water or that which he drinks. If he's thirsty, what should he do? What should he drink? Or what should he say? So lema shiva kailas shama David alamayim v'hadar nishti. Let him go ahead and say the 7 different colors that David HaMelech said upon water, right? And then he can go ahead and drink. As the pasuk says. So these are the psukim over there, and Tehillim, Chavtes. It says over there, Kol Hashem alamayim, Kel hakavod hirim. Right, Hashem. So his voice is on the water, right? Is on the thunder. Hashem alamayim rabim. His Hashem is also upon all the great waters. Kol Hashem b'koyach is with strength. Kol Hashem b'hadar is with splendor. Kol Hashem shever razim. Right, Hashem is the kol of Hashem. The voice of Hashem can break cedars. Vayishaber adoishem es arze halvanon. The cedars of Lebanon you can break. Kol Hashem chaytzel lavas eish. Right, go ahead and also controls over the fire. Kol Hashem yachel midbar, also over the midbar. Yachel Hashem midbar kodesh. Also the wild of Kadesh. Right, Kol Hashem yichelo ayalos v'yachsov yaros. Right, and also the force and all the other animals. Kadesh Baruch Hu, His voice is upon them. V'heichalo kuloi amer kava. Right, and within His temple. Then they will all say kavod, right? They all say glory, kavod to Hashem. Vilo, and if he doesn't say that, right? So lemahach, say this: lul, shafan, anigron, anigridophone. So I guess different names of different spirits, right? Ben kochve yasina. I sit between, right, the stars, the kochavim. Bein belie shmene azlina, right? And I go between the thin and the fat people. So say it. Basically, I sit between the stars, choose from the stars to harm and don't harm myself. Vilo, if he doesn't say this is all, remember, to get rid of the spirits that are upon his drink of water, either on Tuesday night or Friday night. Vilo, some with him. And right, you should go ahead and say, Planya bar planyasa tachina mayim, right? If he's with somebody else, go ahead and wake them up and say, right, basically speaking about himself, right, so-and-so, Plony bar Plony is thirsty. Then he'll go ahead and drink water, and vilo. And if he's not with anybody else, so mekarkesh nachmasa achatzva v'hadar nishti. Go ahead and make noise. The cover of the barrel. Go ahead and make noise upon the barrel, and then I guess to sort of scare away the spirits. And then he'll go ahead and drink vilo. If not, nishnedeva midei v'hadar nishtes. Basically, throw something into the water and then go ahead and drink. So that's what he does. I was speaking to Rabbi Reese about zugos and stuff like that, and so as Ramosha brings down, others bring down that nowadays that because we're not makbid on this, there in terms of the different spirits, then we're not chayshish, we're not concerned of such, ruach ra or the zugos or stuff like that. Taner Rabbanan. Person should not go ahead and drink water from the rivers or from different marshes in the night. If not, that if he does go ahead and drink it, then basically he has put himself in danger, and because of the sakana, so my sakanas shavrire, right? It's the sakana of shavrire, some spirit which could cause blindness. So if he's thirsty, what should he do? He wants to go ahead and drink from them. What should he do? So if there's someone with him, tell him basically go ahead and say, hey, so-and-so, basically naming himself, I'm thirsty, I'm going to go ahead and drink. And if there's no one with him, say to himself, right? He should say his name once again. His mother told me, Aizdahir, Mishavri, Shivriri, Buriri, Rire, Yiri, Re. Right? I guess it starts long and goes shorter and shorter and shorter. Sachina Mayim Bekase Chivari. Right? I'm thirsty for water, and I will. He's thirsty for water, and he'll drink from new kalim. That's what he says. And for whatever reason, this would go ahead and scare away these spirits. Fine. That was that case there. Now we get back to the two dots from the Mishnah, the first Mishnah of the Perek. We said a person should go ahead and have Dalet Kosos on the Leil Pesach. And if he doesn't, everybody needs to do it. And even somebody who normally just, is not self-supported, he's supported by the city's charity. Nevertheless, he should go ahead and borrow enough so he can have 4 cups. So it's pshita. It's obvious, right? He is chiv to go ahead and Dalet Kosos. So why would you think any different? So Gemara says no. Right? We're going to say this a couple times. Even according to Rabbi Kiva, who says, right, you should make you have a simple Shabbos, right? Even if you can't, even if for 3 meals, have 2 meals, whatever it is. But better to have a low-key Shabbos than to go ahead and borrow and to take charity in order to, to make your Shabbos nicer. Better to make a simple Shabbos than to go ahead and, take charity from others to make your Shabbos better. And but over here, since it's Dalet Kosos, not to just Oneg Shabbos, but rather it's because of Persumanisa. Therefore, one would need to even borrow Titzarech Lebrios for the purposes of Dalet Kosos. And Tana Debei Elio, Af Bisham Rabbi Kiva Asay Shabbos Chachol V'Al Titzarech Lebrios Aval Eisahu Davar Muad B'Seich Beis. And even normally we do say, yes, better not to go ahead and buy and take charity to make your Shabbos nicer. Nevertheless, you should always do something even small, even for Kavod Shabbos. So my new was something small. Some of Papa Kasa the Harsna or Kasa Harsna, a little small fish. I don't know if it's like a little fried fish or something. A person should be kanamar be bold like a leopard, or vikal or light kanesher like an eagle, ruts or tzvi fast like a deer, vigibur kari or strong like a lion. In order to do the ratzon of your Father in heavens. And therefore, it's basically telling you that you should, try and extra hard for the purposes of mitzvahs. And Taner Rabbanan Shiva Dvarim Tziva Rabbi Kiva as Rabbi Yeshua Beno. 7 things Rabbi Kiva told Rabbi Yeshua, his son. B'ni al teishei begova shel ir v'tishna. Don't go ahead and sit high in the city and learn there, because perhaps you'll sit there, you'll be disturbed, you'll be noticed, and people will need things from you. You won't have time to study. Don't live in a city was run by Talmidei Chachamim, because the Talmidei Chachamim are busy learning and not taking care of the needs of the city. And don't go ahead and don't just pop into your house. Always, knock on the door, give warning to even your members of your house, and certainly to your friend's house. Do not refrain from wearing shoes upon your feet. Eat early in the morning. So eat early in the morning because of the heat of the day in the summer. Sorry, I just got to get that coffee. Still on my body's still on the old time. And eat early because the coldness, even though it's cold then, but you'll need the energy in the morning. And also, as we mentioned earlier, make your Shabbos mundane. right? Which that's better than taking charity from others to increase your Shabbos. And also, it's good to go ahead and do business with people who are seeing good fortune, people who their time is the now. You see, they have a lot of good mazel. You should partner up with them. And right, it doesn't necessarily mean to buy or to sell from them, because probably since the shah is good for them, the time is good for them. They're probably getting the better end of the deal. Rather, to do shutfus with them, do partnership with them. I have a hashdamer of Shmuel Bar Yitzchak. What's supposed to mean? Ma'ase Yodov Beirachta. It says over there, referring to Eov right in the beginning, right when he had a good mazel. He said, anything that you're doing is blessed. So instead of there, right? Even a person who took a pruta from Eov, right? Whether he bought or sold or did work for him, so that whoever even took money from him was blessed. So you see, even someone was blessed, even to go ahead and purchase or sell to someone who was having good fortune, that would be good. And Chamisha Dvarim Siva Rabbi Kiva Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai Kshaya Chavish Beis. So Rabbi Kiva, when he was in jail, Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai would visit him in jail, and he told him 5 things. Amar Lo, Rabbi Lamdeni Torah. So he said, Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai said to him, teach you Torah. So Amar Eini Melamdecha, I don't want to teach you. You're going to get in trouble. Amar Lo, Im Ein Ata Melamdein Ani Omer Lo Yochei Abba U'Mesarecha LaMalchus. If you don't teach me Torah, I'm going to go tell my father. He's going to go ahead and report on you to the authorities, right? Get you in further trouble, right? Obviously, it was just sort of an empty threat, but he really wanted Rabbi Kiva to go ahead and teach him. So Amar Lo, he said to him, Bini, he said, my son, he said, right? More than the calf wants to nurse, the mother wants to nurse. So the mother's in pain, has all the milk, and wants its young to go ahead and nurse, i.e., I want to teach you more than you want to learn. But unfortunately, I'm here in jail. I'm going to get in trouble. So Amar Lo. He says, well, what do you mean? Who's the one in danger? The eagle is going to be in sakana if he doesn't eat. I'm the one in danger. You need to teach me. So right? If you want to go ahead and and hang yourself, right, then hang yourself from a tall tree, right? So what does that mean? Right, so Rash or the Rashbam brings down over there that basically, if you want to go ahead and judge cases of chanika, right, of life and death, then you have to go ahead and when you learn and you teach different psakim, say it in the name of the leaders in the name, because therefore it will, it won't be upon you. It will be the Masara as the halacha. As the Rashbam brings down, and and we go ahead and you teach your son. Make sure you teach him from a sefer muga, a sefer which has all the correct girsas. And mahi, what's that? Right. When you begin to teach him, at the new teaching, make sure you teach him something which has the correct girsa, shabashta kevan da'al, right? Because if there's a mistake, once it's in. So it's tough to unteach something which was taught incorrectly from the beginning. And don't go ahead and cook in a pot that your friend has gone ahead and already cooked in. So mind you, what is that? So all right. You should not go ahead and marry a divorced woman while her ex-husband is still alive. Right? If you have a divorced man who married a divorced woman, then and both their spouses are alive, or their exes are alive, then you basically have 4 people in the bed, right? They think about their previous spouse. Even almana, even if one marries a widow, obviously her previous first husband is not alive because he's dead. She's a widow. The fee, why? Turn the page, top of the page of Kufiyud Beis Amud Beis. Shein Kol Etzbos Shavos, right? Because not every man is the same, and therefore perhaps she'll be thinking about the relations with her first husband over her new husband. And mitzvah of a guf gadol, right? Is also, if you want to do a mitzvah and something which is good for the guf, good for you, then do what? Eichel peiros v'loi sachar, right? Loan someone money who needs money for a business venture, right? Take property as the collateral, and basically you'll be able to eat the peiros off that. Therefore, he's getting the loan, and you are also profiting nicely from the payros of the field that is used for the collateral, or that's used for the payment. And mitzvah v'guf tahor. If you want to go ahead and do a mitzvah and not just profit, but rather make yourself tahor, right? Make yourself pure. That's nice to isha of loibanim, right? Marry a woman and have children with her, or some say, right, and a woman who's had children, right? But go ahead and marry a woman if you want to do a mitzvah and also do something which is good. And arba dvarim tziva rabbeinu hakodesh es banav, right? So 4 things Rabbi Yehuda Nasi taught his children. Al tadur b'shenechnatziv mishum deleitzenu havu, right? Don't go ahead and live with the people of Shachnatziv, right? They are a bunch of leitzanim, right? They're a bunch of leitzanim. They mock things. They don't take things seriously. V'al teishev al mitos aramis, and do not go ahead and sit on an Armenian bed, right? Don't sit on an Armenian bed. And we'll soon see. So, some say, what does that mean? It means don't go to bed without saying Kriya Shema. Some say, don't go ahead and marry Gioras, a convert. Some say, some say, Mamish, don't sit on the bed of an Armenian person or Armenian woman because of the Maisa of Rav Papa, who basically was set up that there was a dead baby in a bed, and he was told to sit down, and he sat down and uncovered and says, look, you killed a person, and he had to flee despite the fact that he was innocent. So that was the pshat of do not sit in an Armenian bed. Don't run away from taxes. Why? Because they're going to go ahead and find you and take more. Do not go ahead, basically stand anywhere, right, near a shore, an ox, when it's getting for the marsh, because the sultan is basically dancing between his horns, and therefore he's very dangerous. And even if you're far away, he could go ahead and chase you down. Fine. Around 10 lines on the top of Kuf Yud Beis, Amud Beis, Omar Rabbi Shmuel, Bashur Shachor v'Yami Nisan. That what you're talking about, this when he lifts his head up for the marsh, and the Sutton is dancing between his horns, is referring to a black bull. And during the days of Nisan, right? Today is Rosh Chodesh Nisan. And Tani Rav Oishia taught Marchiki Mishor Tam Chamishimama Mishor Muad Mileyenav. Right? We distance ourselves from a shore tam, a shore that is not known to gore. 50 amos. However, a sharmuad, one that has already established to be a goring ox, then as far as you can see it, for as long as you can see it, then you're in danger. And Reish Torah B'dikula, right? If his head is in a basket, then Sak Li'igra V'Shadi Darga Mitudach. Right? Go ahead and basically, if his head is in the basket, it's dangerous. Therefore, climb a roof and then remove the ladder so the ox cannot go ahead and chase you down. Amarav Nizha D'Torah Hein Hein. I guess you want to go ahead and basically, calm a bull or get a bull's attention.
Sorry, I'm a little late today. Where are we holding?
We are on Kuf Yud Beis, Amud Beis, 15 lines on the top. It's 112B2.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
I'm a Rav, right in the middle of the skinny line, or whatever, a little in the skinny lines. So I'm a Rav. So if you want to get attention of a shore of an ox, you say hein hein. Yizara de Aryeh. If you see a lion, right, you go to the zoo and the lion's probably sleeping. What do y'all do? Maybe yell out zeh zeh, right? That gets attention of a lion. Nizha de Gamla da da, right? You go cry to yell out to a camel is da da, and Nizha de Arba. Hey, if you want to yell out to a boat, right? I guess people are pulling the boats and you want to get their attention. You yell out Hilni Haya Hila the Hiluk Hulia. Right? You yell that out, and that gets their attention. Fine. Amar Abaye, and Abaye says, or a bunch of things. We'll explain them all of them. Or dog v'kois chamin ubeitzim v'kinim levanim kulan kashan l'davar achar. So or is leather or hide, right? And fish and kos and hot water and eggs and lice. All those are difficult. They cause tsaras. These things. So or saman digani amashacha detzala. Right. That is what does that mean? Or the hide. Right. One who sleeps on basically hide that wasn't processed fully. The one who sleeps on that will basically can cause tsaras and dog or fish. Shibuta b'yom Nisan. It's referring to the shibuta type of fish during Nisan, and kais. What is kais? Shira kasad harsana. That if you go ahead and eat leftover kasad harsana, which is earlier, that was like the small little fried fish that they had for covered Shabbos. Chamin, right, which is hot water. Chamime de chamime shadu yalayo, right? If you pour hot water on him, that can cause tsaras. Beitzim, eggs, man, the midrach, aklifim. Person steps on the shells, the eggshells, and keen levanim where lice man the mechaver levushay v'loniter le timna yayme v'hada levushlay. A person who goes and he washes his clothes to get rid of the lice and he doesn't let it sit out for 8 days, the lice will come back and baruch hinach kinim the kashim davarach. Right, those will come back and cause them more tsaras. And Amar Rav Papa says Rav Papa. Beisa the East Bay Shnura Loinel Ba Inish Belay Masani. Person in a house that has a cat, do not walk in there without any shoes. Why is that my timer? Should the Shnura Kati Lechiyura Vachile East Bay Chiyura Garmi Katini, right? Because the a cat will go ahead and find a little snake and it'll kill it and eat it, and it'll leave all these small little bones it'll step on. Right? If he goes in and walks around barefoot, then maybe some of these little bones will enter into his skin, and that will cause sakana to him. And Igadami, another version, based on the less patient, some say it's a house without a cat. Why? Lo neil ba inish bahafra. Person should not go there when it's dark. My time was reason. Perhaps there's no cat there to chase away little rodents. Perhaps if there's a snake there, will also come to put him in sakana. And shloisha devarim siva Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yasi es Rabbi. Right, 3 things. Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yasi told Rabbi. Now, some say this is not Rebbe because Rebbe actually lived earlier, or he was older. He's Rebbe. So some say it's referring to Rav, who was the next generation. So what was said to them? Al tas mum ba'atzmecha, right? Don't make a mum upon yourself. So what does that mean? So mahi. So the answer is like tihavi loch dina b'hadi tosa the chad havi baldina chutrei sadi. Right? Don't go to Beis Din against 3 people. Why? Because they're going to team up against you. One is going to be a claimant, and the other 2 will act as witnesses. And basically, you're going to lose the case. Yeah, Talmud al mekach b'shal shein lo damim. Don't go ahead and stand by something to purchase if you have no money, because then you'll be causing, people see you walk away, and therefore will cause damage to the seller because they say, oh, this person, he walked in, he was looking at it, and he didn't buy it, so it must be it's a bad product, which will cause damage to the seller. And right? When your wife has gone to the mikvah, right? Don't be with her Laila Rishona. What does that mean? So Amarav Ubnida Deraisa, right? Since it's referring to a Nida Deraisa, which is now, let's say, even nowadays, right? So neither woman becomes Nida for 7 days, and then only into the 8th day, then she's, by us, we wait 5 days. Back then, they used to have the period from the 8 beyond for her to be her Ziva period. So, but Midaraisa, right? She's Anida after that. So now basically after the 7th day, if she's bleeding even all the way up until then it would be mutter. She goes to the mikveh then and comes home. So do not lay with her then, right? We wait 5 days afterwards, right? Since her well is open, right? Or it's open, there's blood. Perhaps they will find blood during that night, and that blood is matame, and therefore do not be with her for that long. Fine. And Shloisha Doran Siva Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda as Rabbi. Once again, Rabbi, 3 things that were told Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi or to Rav. Al Teitze Yechidi B'Layla. Don't go leave alone at night. Al Tama B'Fnei Aner, a room. Do not go ahead and stand in front of a lamp in the night, not dressed. Don't go ahead inside of a new merchatz where they have the heat underneath it. They used to have the heat underneath it. Don't stand in numerchatz because perhaps it might break through and you might fall into the fire. It's ad kama, how long? Levi ad 12 months. And don't stand in front of a candle, right? Not dressed at all. The tiny linen rice. Right? A person who goes ahead and stands right in front of a lamp or some sort of candle at night, not dressed, can bring upon epilepsy. Also, a person who has relations to the light of the candle also can bring upon, will have children who have also epilepsy. Fine. Person who has relations upon which a child is sleeping upon, that child, right, could perhaps get epilepsy. But that's only if he was not a year old yet. Aval barshata lesnamba. But if he's already a year, then there's no issue. And only where he's by the edge of the bed, by the foot of the bed. Aval gani lahadadi reisha lesnamba. But if he's near the heads, then it's not a risk of epilepsy. But if he doesn't put his hand on him, but if he has his hand on the child, despite the fact that he's by the foot of the bed, and despite the fact that he's under a year old, then there is no issue. And Al Tate say Yechidi v'Layla, don't go out at night alone. The Tanya learn Rabbi Lo Yitzei Yechidi v'Layla, Lo b'Lo Revios, Lo b'Lo Shabbos. Don't go out, not on the night before, or not on Tuesday night, not on Friday night. Miprei she'agras bas machlas. Because of the spirit, the shade of Agras Bas Machlas, he Ushmona Esrei Ribo Shamlache Chabola Yitzit, him, or he, she, or her, and the Shmona Esrei Ribo, right? 18 10,000s, right? 18 10,000s is 18 10,000 is 180,000 Malachi Chabola are outside. Each one has permission to go ahead and cause damage. So there is a very dangerous night. What's going on here? It used to be that they were around every single night. If it wasn't for the fact that they announced in Shemayim, be careful for Chanina and his Torah, we would put you in danger, where we damage you. If I'm so chashuv, so then let me go ahead and make an announcement, right? That you guys should not have any power down here. Samarlays, he said, right? Please, right? Give us a little bit, something, right? You can't take all of our power away. So they left them out Tuesday nights and Friday nights. They still had some sort of, permission to cause damage. Sued furthermore, and then this Agras Bas Machla said to Abaye, Ilav de Machris Allah Barakia, Hizara ben Nachmani v'Tarasa. If they didn't say about you in Shemayim, be careful of Nachmani, which was Abaye's nickname because he was brought up by Nachmani. I would go ahead and put you in danger, but you're Abaye, so we're not going to do anything to this. If I'm so chashuv in the heavens, then I basically announce that you should not have any power down here. So but we do see that they are down here. There is damage. So they say, Hani, I turn the page and Kufi Gomatav, Hani, Gazaisa Ninu, the Shamte Susia Vasu Devarle, right? Perhaps it could be that the reason why is because maybe these sort of shadim, they were traveling, I guess, with whatever horses or susim that they have, and basically their horses ran away and to the populated areas, and then they went to go gather their horses from the areas of the yeshuvim and brought them back. But that is where that is the only reason why they're found in areas of yeshuv. Fine. Omer Lei, we are second line on the top on Kufya Gimel Amud Aleph, which is today's daf, I think. Right? I never look at the schedule. I just do a blot a day. So Amar Le Rav Ravasi says, Rav Ravasi, don't live in a city that does not have horses and does not have dogs, right? Dogs that bark and horses that make noise, because they go ahead and when they make noise, they scare away burglars, thieves. Rabbi Al Tador Be'ir, Dereish Masa Asya, don't go and live in a city who's the head of the city, right, is a doctor because he's busy with his practice, helping people and not helping the city. Don't go ahead and marry two wives because they'll go ahead and conspire a plan against you. If he nased of the tarti, but he already had two wives, then the sieve tlas. Go ahead and marry a third, because then if two of them have a plan against you, at least the third will tell you what the other two are up to. Rav Rav Kahana says Rav Kahana, Hapo b'neveasa v'loy tipich b'milei. Right, better to go ahead and work with an avela. Right, you're not too great to even do something as mundane as earn an honest living with a carcass, with an avela, and as opposed to basically tricking people or lying people or not being honest. Pasha nevelas of shekel agra. Right, go ahead and skin a nevela, a carcass in the shuk, and then go ahead and sell it. Skins tema kahana ana, the gava rabba ana, and don't say, "Oh, I'm a kohen, I can't do it. It's beneath me. I'm a big talmid chacham, right? This is beneath me, right? It's better to learn harness the sanya bi milsa, right? And these things are below me, so one should not say these things. Rather, better to earn an honest living than to say, "Oh, this is beneath me." So salakta leigra. Sheruska bahadech, right? If you go up to a roof or you go on a trip, then you should go ahead and take food with you, right? Take food with you. Always be with food. Don't rely upon purchasing food. And mea kare b'masa b'zuze. And even if we say that the food is cheap, right? Right? You should still have, if food is so cheap, you can go ahead and buy. Nevertheless, always bring food with you for whatever reason, right? And I guess, they always, I guess the joke, actually it's not a joke. They just say, whatever you always, all the tinfoil and then the food, and the Jewish mothers pack all the food. So we see over there, you go eat any sort of trip. It's good to pack food, even if the food is very cheap and it's available. No, always have food with you. Pas basalo, right? Better to have some sort of food with you. Omerle Rav L'chia Bray, so Rav said to Chia's son, like Tishte Sama, don't go ahead and take too many drugs, right? Don't rely upon it. Rely upon Hashem. In other words, to heal you. Not always, different types of drugs and ailments and medicines. About Shavir Nigra, don't go ahead and jump over a small river. Don't go ahead and pull out a tooth; it'll heal on its own. Right? If you pull out a tooth, it can cause more damage. Don't go ahead and basically provoke a snake. Or in Armenian, don't provoke either one of those. So those are the suggestions from Rav to Chia's son. And Tanan Rabbanan Shleisha Ein Miskanin Behen. All right, the three things that one should not go ahead and provoke: Veluhain, Nachri Katan, V'nachash Katan, V'tamid Katan. Right, not a young Nachri, not a young snake or small snake, and not a young Talmud. So my time, what's the reason? Right, once they go ahead and they grow up, then they'll remember their youth, right? They'll remember, grow up and say, okay, this person bothered me, this person picked at me, and then when they're in places of power, then they'll give retribution. So Amar le Rav le Aibu Bere. So Rav said to Aibu his son, Tarchi b'cha b'shmaitza v'loy misiyata milsa, right? I tried to teach you Shmaitza, right? But you were not. It didn't help you, right? Didn't help you. Let me go ahead and teach you some ways of the world, right? Because I tried to teach you these brises and stuff. It wasn't a success. Let me teach you the ways of the world. Right. So it says over there. In other words, while you still have chala, right, sand, akarecha on your feet, i.e., let's say you just came from the beach, right, to go to collect seashells, whatever it is, sell it, right, or the fish, sell it right away, sell your goods right away. Everything you should go ahead and sell quickly, and if it goes up, okay, you can be upset about it, except for wine. You sell wine, and all of a sudden the price goes up. don't worry about it because wine usually goes bad, and therefore you can't have any sort of charata. And sherei kisecha pesach sakecha, right? First, you go ahead and you take the money, and then you go ahead and you give them their goods. That's how you sell, right? You don't give them the goods and then wait for the payments. You take the money first, then you give them the payments. And kav ma'avra like kura migra, right? Better to have a kav from the ground than a kur from the roof. In other words, better to go ahead and make small earnings when it's close and not as worrisome, as opposed to basically having out-of-town business where you potentially can make more, but there's a lot more worries. So better to make quicker money, closer. And Tamra bechaluzach lebeis sudana rahit, right? So it says, if you have dates in your basket, then go to the house of where they sell date beer. That even if a small amount, don't wait till you have a lot. Even some, go ahead and make a quick buck rather than trying to go for the big grand slam. Viad kama. So meravo ad talasasa. Even for 3 sa, that's not too small. That's still a handsome fee for one to go ahead and make money. And Amra Papa Ilo Derame Shichra Leo Yatre, right? If I was not involved with making beer, right, sheikh or date beer, right, then I would not become rich. And some say Rav Chiza Ilo Derame Shichra Lo Yisare, right? Some say it wasn't Rav Papa, or some say it was Rav Chiza who said, right, if I didn't go ahead and make beer, then I would not become wealthy. Samai, Sudana. What is Sudana? Sam Rav Chiza, Sodna Gunas Chasadim, right? Sudana, I guess, referring to beer. It was called Sodna, right? The nice secret, because it afforded him to go ahead and do Gimlus Chasadim with his wealth. And Amar Papa called Agav Gavia Boy. And anytime you go ahead and right, you make a sale, right? Even the collections, your accounts receivable is basically is also a job, right? Kol ashrei safik asi, safik lo asi, right? Because every sale, right, it's a suffix whether you get paid, whether it's going to come or they're not going to pay. Or even if they come, perhaps it's bad currency, bad money. So it's always a risk. It's not just once you shake hands or make the sale. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's money in the bank. And Shleisha Dvarim Amar Rabbi Yechon Mishiman Yishlaim. 3 things Rabbi Yechon said in the name of people of Yishlaim. Chata Yotze LeMelchava Al Teitze B'Rishona El Teitze V'Achrona. Right? Don't go to the front lines. Go to the back. Why? Because if you have to go ahead and retreat, you'll be the first ones of the retreaters to go back. We saw this one earlier a couple times, right? Do not go ahead and make your Shabbos, better to make your Shabbos simple than to go ahead and to take money from others to make your Shabbos nicer. And also go ahead and do business with one who is having lots of mazel. And 3 things said Shub and Levi. In the name of those, don't go ahead and have relations or be not sneas in your garden because of Maisa with David Melech and Masheva, right? As that came upon because of she was outside. And Bitcha Bagra Shachar Avdecha V'Sein, right? If your daughter who's older is not married, go ahead and free your slave and give it to her. Better for her to marry him than to be single. And also be careful with your wife and your older or your first son-in-law. Why is that? My time because of erva, because perhaps they're closer in age and there's erva and he's around the house. And Rafkan Omar Mishum Mammon. Rav says because Mammon, she'll spend all the money on him. And Havaha Isnu. And both of these are good reasons. There are 3 people that inherit the world to come. Elohein, these are them. Hadaber Eretz Yisrael, one who lives in Eretz Yisrael. Hamagadel, Banav, L'Talmid Chacham, one who goes ahead and raises his children to the Talmud Torah. So not Talmud Chacham, sorry. Hamagadel, Banav, L'Talmud Torah, one who goes ahead and raises his children to learn Torah. And Hamavdel Yayin, but Moshe Shabbos. So a person goes ahead and makes Havdalah on wine on Moshe Shabbos. So Mahi, what does that mean? So the person doesn't have enough for both, so he makes kiddush, but then he basically puts it aside and doesn't drink it all and saves over the rest of it to only drink it for Havdalah. And Rabbi Yochanan Shleisha Machriz Alein HaKadosh Baruch Hu B'chol Yom. 3 people HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right, claims every day. It says sings their praises every day. A person lives in a city, he's single, and he does not sin. Right, does not sin, is not commit a rayas or a poor person who basically finds lost object, doesn't keep for himself, returns it to its owner. Also, a wealthy person who basically takes his meiser and he does it in private. He does it in private. He doesn't do it public, so people can see how much meiser he's taking. And Rav Safra was an older bachelor, and he was living in the city. So what happened? So turn the page. So Tana Kamei de Rav of Rav Safra. So it was said before Rav and Rav Safra. And Safra put up to Rav Safra. Safra became proud. He was, I'm one of the people. I'm an older bachelor and I don't sin. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu is, he's praising me. Amal Rav said, no. Lav Kagoin Mar. Not like you're in yeshiva all day. Okay, big deal, right? Ela Kagoin Rav Chanina, Rav Aisha, like Chanina Aisha, Davi Ush, Kafi Ba'arad Yisrael, Vahavi Yasi B'Shuka Designers. They used to go ahead and they would fix shoes, and they were cobblers, all right, in Eretz Yisrael, and they would sit in the shuk of Zionus, right, with harlots, right. The Avri Lahu Masani Lazainos, they used to make shoes for them, right. Vayalahu, and they would go into their stores. Vina Mistakli, Vinu Loi Madlina Lai, Inu Mistakli Bahu, Vinu Loi Madlani Nahu, right. The women would look at them, but they wouldn't look at the women. And in other words, and they basically saw that even though these women, right, were they were pressed, right, to say the least, right, they were Zionas, right. So they, right, tried to, right, look at them, but the two tzaddikim wouldn't look at them. So now they would look away. And so they used to go ahead and they say when they used to go ahead and swear, they had so much respect for them because they would not partake of any of the znus. So they said, B'chayim Rabbanan Kadosh B'Ari Yisrael, right? And when they used to swear in the name of the holy Jews of Israel, referring to these two. So this is the type of bachelor. Those who are around the zonas that don't sin, that's the ones who HaKadosh Baruch Hu's machris kol yom, as opposed to the ones who just sin based medrash. And Shleish HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Ayeva, and three people HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Mishaina Kaines, a person does not come angry, Umishaina Mishtacher, a person does not become drunk, Umishaina Mamid Amodoisav, and a person who's not makbid on his midos, right? He's very forgiving. Shleish HaKadosh Baruch Hu, son, and three people HaKadosh Baruch Hu hates, Hamadir Echad Echad, a person who says one thing but really means something else. In other words, he's a little sneaky. A person knows testimony about his friend, but he doesn't go ahead and testify for him. A person who also sees the davar erva by his friend, and he testifies that, even though despite the fact he knows that testimony from one person does not do anything, but basically his only purpose of testifying is to give the person a bad name. And kiha de tuvia chata. So one time Tuvia sinned. Vyasa Zigud Nachude Vaasidei Kami Rafabe. And Zigud came to testify about Tuvia, about a certain Maisa of Arias. And what happened? Nagde le Zigud. And Rav Papa gave Malchus to Zigud for testifying. Right? He was one person to testify. So Amarle, Tuvia Chat of Zigud. Man, I can understand why you're punishing me, right? He sins and you hit me, you whip me. So Amarle, because the pasuk says lo yakum eidach beish. It says a person should not stand one person to testify. And you by yourself went ahead and testified. Shem Rabbi Yamakov makbid be. Right? You only came to go ahead and give him a bad name. You didn't come to go ahead and have anything else result besides giving him a bad name. And Omar Rabbi Shmuel Bar Rav Yitzchak Rav mutter l'snaiso. It's mutter to go ahead. A person sees someone commit an act of tznius of arayas. It's mutter to go ahead and hate him. Shinamar Pasuk says, "Ki sira chamor seincha roives takas masar." For you see the donkey of your enemy, of one you hate, right underneath his package. So my soina. What does it mean? Soina? Someone you hate, right? Chamor soinecha, right? The one you hate. So ilema soina nachri. If it's referring to a nachri, about time going on our baisa soina shamra soina shavlo soina nachri. That soina we're talking about is helping the load of a Jew, not a guy. So this sign is not referring to a nachri. Elapshita sign Yisrael, rather referring to a sign Yisrael. Umi sharia lemisne. How can you go ahead and hate another Jew? See, the pasuk says, you should not go ahead and hate your brother in your heart. So Ella, maybe it's talking about a case. Maybe it's talking about a person who two people testified that he did a certain avera, and therefore that's the reason why you hate him. if that's the case, this is not your own sone, because it says person that you hate, not the person that everybody hates, right? So it's the person that you hate, right? Sonecha, right? Or is it sonecha or soncha, right? So the person that you hate, right? Sonecha, right? So that would be everybody hates. So who is something that only you hate but no one else hates? So Ma'ishna rather it's only when you saw this person personally, but you're only one person, so therefore you couldn't publicize it, but you know about it, so therefore it's mutter for you to go ahead and hate him, but you can't tell others. Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak Amar mitzvah listeners. It's actually a mitzvah to hate him. Shnei pasuk says Yiras Hashem Sanaz Ra. Right, those who fear Hashem also hate Ra, hate bad. And Amar Rav Acha Bered the Rav Larashi. So Ma'u Lemeimele Lerabe Lemisnei. Can he go ahead and tell his teacher, his Rebbe, that person did such a thing, and therefore the Rebbe should hate him? So I'm like, if you know that this Rebbe will go ahead and believe him like two, you can tell him v'ilod. But if not, then you shouldn't go ahead and say it because it'll just be rumors and it will not be good. And three people who live, but their lives aren't real lives, right? They live troubled lives. Harachmanim, those people who have too much rachamim, too much mercy, right? Mercy is good, but not too much, right? Ve'ha-raschanin, and those people who get angry very easily, and also ve'nini hadas, people who are very particular, very like Eastonists, right? They get grossed up by everything, right? They're soft, as they say. Rav Yosef says, unfortunately, I suffer from all three of these midas. And Tan Rabban and Shleisha Sunnins has that three types of groups of people hate one another. Elohein, hakalavim, dogs, ratanagolim, and roosters, and ve'hachabarin. And chabarin are referring to, I think, Persians, right? Persians, those people hate one another. V'yeshem after Zionis, some say also Zionis, they dislike one another. V'yeshem says, some say af talmidei chamish of Bavel. Even talmidei chamim in Bavel, they did not get along with one another. And Taner Rabban and Shleisha Ovim Zed. There are three groups that love one another. Elohein, these are them. Hagerim, and because these are people also basically have, sort of had a difficult time. So Gerim, right? Converts, they like one another. V'avodim and slaves, and Vorvin and ravens. And Arba in Adas Savlasa. There are four whose minds basically can't understand. Elohein Dal Geya. Right, a person who's poor but he's a balgaiva, right? The ashir mechachish, and a person who's rich and won't pay his bills. The zakim menayif, and an old person who commits adultery, right? He doesn't really have much of a yetzahara, nevertheless he commits these acts. Uparnes mizgalat tzibur bechinam, right? And somebody who basically is in charge of the tzibur, supports the tzibur, but when it comes to times of need, he's not there, he doesn't help out, so he really takes from them, he doesn't give them. Some say, a person who divorces his wife 2 times and takes her back again, such a person also, people do not understand. Tanakama, why did you not list that person? Person's Megaris Ishto Pam Rishona Shnia. Says Zina the Ksubasa Maruba. So maybe her ksuba is too expensive for him to live not with her, and therefore he has to go back to her. Or some say that he has children with her, and therefore it's too hard also to stay divorced from her. So he might as well, instead of paying the child support and everything else, he just lives with her. And Chamisha Dvarim Siva Kanan is one of 5 things Kanan commanded his sons. Avu Zedzel, love one another. Vavu Esa Gezel, love Gezel, stealing. Vavu Esa Zima, and love Znus. And Vesinu Es Adonechem, right? Hate your masters. Ve'al Tadabru Emes, and don't speak truth. And Shisha Dvarim Nemer of Asus, 6 things are said about a horse. Oiv Es Nus, I guess horses love Znus. Right? The Oiv Es Mechama, right? They love war. Verucha Gasa, they're baligaiva, right? Umayis is Shena, and doesn't despises sleeping. And Va'echel Harba eats a lot. Umayitzi Kima, and it goes to the bathroom a little bit. They also like to kill their riders during war. I guess they throw them off and they, run upon them. And Shiva, Menudin Shemayim, there are 7 people who are Menuda, who are excommunicated from Shemayim. And who are Elohein, and who are them? These are them. Yehudi Shelo Isha, a man who willingly chooses not to try and get married, or he chooses, he's married but he chooses not to have children, or he has children but he doesn't raise them to learn Torah, a person who doesn't wear tefillin on his head or on his arm, or tzitzis on his garment, or mezuzah on his door, Miraglav, a person doesn't have shoes on his feet. Some say, some say he doesn't go ahead and sit, and he basically distances himself from a group of people doing a mitzvah. And Amar Rabbi Chanam, Rabbi Shmuel bar Amat, Amar Rav Mishum Rabbi Yosi, Ish Hutzel. He said the name of Ish Hutzel. Minayin she'ein shalin bekaldim. Right? From where we know that you don't go ahead and consult, right, questions from astrologers, right? You guys tell me the other day, the difference between astronomers and astrologers, right? Those, you go, don't get your palm read, right? Shinamar, Tomim Tiyah Im Hashem Lekecha, right? You'll be whole in front of Hashem, and those Hashem is the one, and not from the astrology. And we know if a friend, even if he's only greater than him in one matter, you should show him covet. The Pasuk says, "Kol kalvo di ruach yitera ba umalka asis la kimosa al kol machusa." Right, because of the extra spirit that Hashem gave him, then he wanted to go ahead and be the king wanted to appoint him al kol machusa, entire kingdom. So you see, even from one thing, a person should be given covet. Al dam Torah asur l'shamish. Also, a woman who is observing her dam Torah is also the shamesh, right? A woman who is dam Torah, in other words, basically after she gives birth, let's say to a boy or girl, right, either 7 or 14 days. So right afterwards, then it's usher to be mishamesh, have a relation the first night with her, and adkama how long? So Amarav, I know 1 12-hour period. So for the 12-hour period, so either night 8 or night 15, right, or whatever. The one afterwards, that would be the time. And Tana, speaking of Yosef Shutzel, so who Yosef Shutzel, who Yosef Abavli is referred to, also known as Yosef Abavli, who Isi ben Gur Aryeh, who's also called Isi ben Gur Aryeh, who Isi ben Yehuda, who Isi ben Gamliel, who Isi ben Mahalo. Right, all these were different names that he was known by. Umashma was his name. Isi ben Akavia Shema. Isi ben Akavia was his name. And similarly, who Rabbi Yitzchak ben Tavla, who Rabbi Yitzchak ben Chalka. So this is Rabbi Yitzchak. He's same person as ben Tavla. So he's called ben Chalka. Who Rabbi Yitzchak ben Elah. Right, Yitzchak ben Elah. We're just going to get to the Mishnah. And then it says Rabbi Yitzchak ben Acha Shmaitzahu. If it says Rabbi Yitzchak and it's ben Acha when it's a Shmaitza, when it's a halacha psak, and Rabbi Yitzchak ben Pinchas Agadata. If Agadata, it's Rabbi Yitzchak ben Pinchas. And how do you remember that? Simanach the Shumani Achi Ami. So it says Shumani, right? Rabbi Yitzchak the Shmaitza, which is Shumani Achi ve'emi, right? Which is the pasuk. So it says my brother, my ab. So it says therefore Rabbi Yitzchak ben Acha was the Shmaitza. And Amar Rabbi Rechanan Rabbi Yechanan Mishmeid Rabbi Yudah Rabbi Loi Achol Betzel V'Shev Betzel. Right? One should go ahead and be simple and eat an onion, right, as opposed and sit in the tzel. And better than that, than to go ahead and eat expensive foods such as chicken and geese, and have your heart always, chasing expensive foods. And right, eat, spend less on food and drink, and spend more on your house. And Kiyasa Ula Amar, when Ula came from Israel, he said, maslin b'marafa, right? They used to go ahead and say in Eretz Yisrael, de achil al yasa tashib al yasa, right? One who goes ahead and eats al yasa, like the fatty tails, then he hides in the aliyah, right, in the attic because he owes so much money. And the achil kukulai akikla damasi shachim. One who goes ahead and eats vegetables, which are cheap, he can go ahead in the middle of the city, in the city dump, or where people gather, because he's not embarrassed to be found. He doesn't owe anybody money. All right, we'll stop here. Shkoyach, everybody. Thank you all for waking up so early. And shkoyach, and have a wonderful day. And we'll see you guys, Mr. Shem, tomorrow.
Yeshua.